and private sector. Now, the code. The topic says the Code of Corporate Governance and Reporting Nigeria. So we are going to look at the code. What are these codes? The Code of Corporate Governance are laws and regulatory practices that ensure.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, professional colleagues, shall we rise as we welcome and announce the arrival of the President and Chairman of Council with the entourage. We announced the arrival of the first Vice President of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, representing the President and Chairman of Council of the President is around. We announced the arrival of the first Vice President, Dr. James Yenegoa, FCNA. You're welcome, sir. With all the members of the Governing Council, the welcome says Amas.
While we are waiting, the President.
Please kindly sit down as we await the arrival of the President, please. Okay, we will continue in the course of the program as Professor Ifeoma Okwo, FCNA, continues with our lecture, please.
Thank you. Why the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance? That is where we are. The aim of the Code of Corporate Governance in Nigeria is to make those in charge of companies more accountable, responsible and sensitive to the interests of stakeholders and other Nigerian citizens. That's the reason. Now, corporate governance in Nigeria before 2018, where we have Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. Before this period, we have different sectorial corporate governance codes.
Please can we stand up and welcome the President and Chairman of Council of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Reverend Colonel Professor Benjamin Chuka Osho, the President and Chairman of Council of Allah. You are welcome, sir.
We announce the arrival of the President and Chairman of Council, Reverend Colonel Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, FCNA, in company of the entourage of the Governing Council. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, everybody.
Please, shall we sit?
Thank you. I've already observed the protocol in your abstention, but I can also do that now to the way. From the President, CEO, we have the First Vice, Second Vice, past President and other council members here present, our distinguished guests, my professional colleagues. We have started, we are continuing from where we stopped. The topic is on corporate governance code and reporting in Nigeria. I continue from where I stopped. We're talking about before 2018. We have different sectors. We have different sectorial corporate governance code. You have in the banking sector, insurance, and so on and so forth. But in 2018, the Federal Financial Reporting Council came up with a code to guide the operation of corporate governance of all companies in Nigeria, and announced, made it mandatory for all public firms to follow the code until the specific sectorial code will be developed. So our duty here now is to look at the highlights of this code, the implications, and where we accountants can come in there, especially as it regards to the reporting, because it is the duty of the accountant to report all activities, financial and even non-financial, including the corporate governance code and the essence of implementation and the financial statements. And now, we said, after ordering that, we have this code. That is, as from January 1st, 2020, this 2018 code should be implemented. We can also see the boardroom where the board of directors, IT. Okay. You can see the board of directors where they are brainstorming, trying to think out ways to better the organization. And this is one of the objectives of corporate governance in organization. Now, on 15 January 2019, the Financial Reporting Council released the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018. We shall look at the highlights of this code. The first one, we look at board structure. Section 2 of NCCG 2018 empowers companies to determine the size and composition of their boards, taking into consideration the scale and complexity of their operation. So, what does this mean? That this code did not specifically the number of people to make up the board of director or board of director of the company. After the code, we are going to have guidelines of SEC that is there. The guidelines that are there to complement this code. The guideline looked at the areas that the NCC not and brought some guidelines to be implemented in addition to this. When we get there, we see the number of members as but recommend an appropriate mix of executive director, EDs, non-executive directors, NEDs, and independent. All these NEDs, EDs, we need to know what they mean. Who is an ED? An ED is a director who is involved in the day-to-day running of the company. That is a director that is involved in the running of the business. So it's a staff of the organization and is being paid salary. Next, that is non-executive directors. They are the directors that are not involved in the day-to-day running of the company's affairs. But when we come to NED, we have dependent NED and independent NED. Independent NED does not have any material monetary relationship or transactions with the company, except its approved remuneration, maybe fees. They are not being paid. Some of them are not being paid, but they receive their director's fees, their sitting allowances, etc., but no salary. This relationship includes owners of shares of the company. Then, before some sectorial code, we say that an independent non-executive director should not own any share of the company. But with NCCG 2018 allows an independent director, non-executive director, to own not more than 0.01%, almost insignificant, but let them be part of the ownership so that they can also protect their interests. Although some sectorial codes do not permit that. The dependent NED, which can have shares, and that is why when somebody opens or just floats a company, you see you have your name, the wife's name, the mother's name. These are dependent NEDs. Then the independent should be somebody who is not related. We are going to see down there where the code defines other attributes of an independent NED. So, what do we have to say about that? Because there should be independent, somebody that doesn't have any family relationship or doesn't have any share or very minute share, just like we saw there, so as to make sure that somebody outside of the main person is also there being part of the government. The implication of that is this: the company can determine the size of board and can therefore have control over cost of governance, because the code did not specify the number. So company looking at their size and their ability to pay and the resources they have, they can decide the number. Now, the chairman of the board, the code outlines the responsibility of the chairman of the board and recommends that the chairman should not be involved in the day-to-day running of the company. So, the chairman of the board does not involve himself in the day-to-day running of the business. And that is why when you come to some board, you have this problem. You are the chairman, this is the CEO, then you see them having clash. So there should be clear-cut definitions of role so that the chairman knows where to come in. There should be a clear separation of roles between the non-executive director, including the chairman, and the executive directors. Now, another highlight is the transition to chairmanship. The code discourages the transition of MD, CEO, or EDs to chairman. It recommends a 3-year cooling off period where the transition will take place. That is, the code discourages it, meaning that you are the MD, the CEO. After your tenure of CEO, you want to lobby to become the chairman of the board. If the code didn't say it this way, you see people keep on changing from being CEO, and maybe your child is CEO, then next you become the chairman of the board, maybe after you have finished your tenure, it becomes a family affair. So, what is the implication of this? This is discouraged to minimize conflict of interest. The retiring MD or CEO or ED who aspire to become the chairman will wait for at least 3 years. That's what the code said, the 3-year cooling off. Within which this period, it develops himself and acquire more skill and knowledge, experiences to take over to be the chairman. Meaning that if a CEO finishes his tenure, there must be cooling off period, 3 years that you apply the system, then you can come. By that time, it will be about within the 3 years, what were you doing? How were you developing yourself? So now, independent director, that's another one, sorry. The code requires that the independent non-executive director, INET, are to exhibit a degree of independence of mind and appearance. INET cannot have shareholding in excess of 0.01% of the company paid up capital. Other criteria to assess the independence of an INET according to the code are: 1. Whether the director has served as an employee for the company or any of his related companies within the preceding 5 years. So if somebody has served as a staff of the company, he is not supposed to be an independent. Within 5 years before the appointment, he is not independent enough to be appointed. Whether it had material business relationship with the companies directly or indirectly in the preceding 5 years. Whether the person is a close family member who has served as a director, employee, creditor, or a substantial shareholder of the company. An existing net should not be reclassified into an INET on the same board. An existing net cannot be classified as INET on the same board. The implication is that companies should evaluate the existing INETs against the above requirements and make appropriate amendments. Now, company secretary. Section 8 of the code highlights the key role of the company secretary and mandates that the board should properly empower the company secretary as well as approve his or her performance evaluation, appointment, and removal. But surprisingly, the code says the company secretary is not a member of the board. That is a conflicting issue because when you come to different boards, I'm fortunate to be a member of a board of a public and a private. Presently, when you see the secretary, he says he's a member. And when you're a member, you expect to make comments, to make contribution, and to receive sitting allowance just like others. It has been a big issue, which is still ongoing because they will tell you they are there. But now, the code says a secretary is not a member of the board. He's just there in attending and taking down what is happening. Where there is clarification needed from him, he is asked, ask you, what is the, you tell us, make clarification, then the meeting goes on. But in practice, I don't think we have it that way. Then, board committee structure. To ensure efficiency and effectiveness, the code provides that the board delegates some of its functions, duties, and responsibilities to a well-structured committee without abdicating its responsibility. You know, when you have smaller number of people, the job, you have efficient decisions to be recommended to the board. So we have the code recommend there are committees to be set up by the board to look at different areas of the business as we are going to see down there. The code recommends that the majority of the committee members to be NEC, preferably INEC. When I say NEC and INEC, now I think we are on the same page. Non-executive director, independent non-executive director, those people that don't have any stake, maybe just a little, so that they can be free to say it the way they see it. Implying that companies will review the existing composition of their committee. This committee includes the code recommends the following committee: nomination and governance, that's the committee that oversees the annual performance evaluation of the board and to establish a formal criteria for board appointments and have input into succession planning. That is what the code is. The issue now is that, is it the board members that recommend a new board person? In theory, yes. And maybe through they recommend to the members, the stakeholders, the shareholders, or just like that. But in practice, we know it may not go that way. Remuneration. To develop and recommend to the board, that's remuneration committee, to develop and recommend to the board a formal, clear and transparent framework for the company's remuneration policies and procedures. Audit committee, very important one, to ascertain the integrity of the company's financial statements, assess the independence of the external auditors, and to develop and oversee the internal audit function. Risk management, to establish the risk management framework and policies and review the level of company's compliance with regulatory requirements. Now, internal audits, internal control. I said it was a very important committee, and we have another subsection that talked about internal control. Section 11 of the code provides that audit committee is expected to ensure the development of a comprehensive internal control framework and maintain annual assurance and report annually in the audited financials on the design and operating effectiveness of the company's internal control over financial reporting. The first place we are reading reporting, because this topic is about these codes and reporting in Nigeria. We can see that the audit committee will have the responsibility to do this and report. The report concerning the ICFR, the company internal control over financial reporting, should be part of the financial statements. And what do we mean by that? ICFR consists of the controls that are designed to provide reasonable assurance that the company's financial statements are reliable and prepared in accordance with IFRS or IFSAS, as the case may be, whether it's company, whether it is public company or private company. And that is why most often the audit report will ordinarily report whether that is one of the objectives of auditing, to report compliance audits, to know whether they are companies comply with the rules and regulations, the standards that are made for them. Implication: the audit committee is required, in addition to its responsibility, to develop a comprehensive internal control framework that will promote effectiveness and efficiency of operations, ensure reliability and integrity of financial reporting, safeguard asset compliance with applicable laws and regulations. And that is why when you go to audit committee, audit subcommittee of audit compliance, we have a report on compliance rates, all the activities that are supposed to be done. If, for instance, it's a bank, there should be a meeting of the board credit committee every month. The audit report will say, compliance, do they do it? Not complied. Complied. At the end, all the activities will be listed. We know the ones that are complied and the ones, and the end CEO will be called up to explain why those other ones are not being complied with. Tenure. The code introduces a maximum tenure of 3 terms of 3 years for each INEX. That is 9 years. That is the new code. I think before this code used to be maybe 12, something like that. But now it says 9 years. The first tenure 3 years, another tenure 3, another 3, so maximum of 9 years. And empower the board to determine the tenure of EDs and NETs. The code did not say anything about the tenure of the executive director and non-executive director. So it gave the authority the power to determine that to the board. The implication of this is that the board needs to define the tenure of the EDs and NETs, bearing in mind that there is need to refreshing the board. That is, there is need, bearing in mind that there is need to refreshing the board. We have performance evaluation. The code introduces an annual board evaluation to assess the collective performance of the board. Board committees and individual directors in carrying out their oversight functions. It recommends corporate governance evaluation focused on the implementation of the code to be performed annually. And that is why you see corporate governance questionnaire. If a board of directors from time to time of a bank, they will come, the CBN will give questionnaires to the director, questionnaires to the management. They will fill this, you submit to them, just to determine the essence of compliance with the code. Now, implication is that there should be evaluation of the performance of the board, corporate governance evaluation, which evaluates the extent to which the code is being complied with, and the reports form part of the annual report of the company. Number 2, the second place we are saying what should form part of, because that is our concern. We are the accountant. We are the people to report, make up the financial statements. So we have mentioned the first. The second one now is to report that we have performance evaluation of the board. It should be part of the financial report. Most often as a disclosure, whether these are comply with, so that if it is being reported, then it is a sign that they will look at that area while carrying out their responsibility. Now, another one is remuneration policy. The code introduces the disclosure of companies' remuneration policies in annual reports, including directors' remuneration.
Please remain seated as announced the arrival of His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. Shall we please rise for the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The national anthem, please. Let's sing it.
Distinguished professional colleagues, before we take our seats, we will be taking the second stanza of the national anthem as our opening prayer. The national prayer will be recited in thus. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, and are you the truth to know, in love and honesty to go, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Shall we be seated, please?
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, distinguished Senator Doyinjiri, ably represented here by His Excellency, distinguished Senator Lawrence Orichako, the miracle resourceful Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. Can we join our hands together for him? I would like to also recognize the head of service of the Bayelsa State Service over here, Various Services people, Charles, Nehemiah, and I. Please let's join hands together for her. I would like to also recognize the Accountant General of Bayelsa State, Mrs. Mcpd. Please can we join hands together for her. May I also recognize the Honorable Commissioner for Power, Bayelsa State, Honorable. Also here in this special occasion is the Honorable Commissioner for Finance, Honorable Maxwell Ibiba. Please join hands together for him. I'd like to also recognize the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Bayelsa State, Dr. Daniel Enyike. Please join hands together for him. I'd like to also especially recognize the technical advisor to the governor on treasury and accounts, Mr. Mcpd, who is also a member of the ANA. And other government officials that are here, Mr. Please. I'd like you to continue introductions.
Distinguished professional colleagues, it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you to the second session of ANAN 2022 Mandatory Continuing Professional Development Program, holding here in Yenegoa, Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands. It may at this point in time to recognize the presence of the leadership of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ably led by the President and Chairman of Council, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisoma, FCNA. The first Vice President of the Association, Dr. James Sekirali Meminabo, FCNA. Second Vice President of the Association, Ajia Zoya Talatu Kishini, FCNA. Immediate Past President of ANAN, Professor Muhammad Akaro Manoma, MNI, FCNA. The Chief Executive Officer of ANAN, Dr. Kayode Ushola Pashwa, FCNA. The Treasurer of the Association, Dr. Ibrahim Babajide Awe Aduluga, FCNA. Membership Secretary of the Association, Malam Ibrahim Husseini Gidado, FCNA. Council Member Alhaji Mohammed Bulama, FCNA. Council Member Dr. Sunday Ojelabi, FCNA. Council Member Mr. Ibrahim Marin Makut, FCNA. Council Member and Chairman Mcpd Committee, Chief Peter Ayawu, FCNA. Council Member Mrs. Alice Uwo, FCNA. Chairman Bayelsa State Branch, Prince Tembebela Kumo Omotete and Barry, FCNA. We have a council member here present, sir, the Professor Suleiman Arua, FCNA. You're welcome, sir. The Deputy Executive Officer of ANAN, Right Honorable Dr. Musa Ahmed Mohammed, FCNA. Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Education and Training, Alhaji Rahman Bello, FCNA. Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Administration and Strategy, Mr. Demini Ojeladi. Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Favor Chikasi. Special Assistant to the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Philip Doko. Permit me at this point in time, my apologies please. A council member here present, Dr. Sunday Olawi, FCNA. Special Assistant to the CEO, Mr. Emmanuel Yoko. When the protocols established, my name is Adeyinka Adiosun Yaolu, and I'll be your companion for this occasion. At this point in time, I will be inviting the Chairman, Mcpd Committee, and Council Member, Chief Peter Ayawu, FCNA, to give his opening remarks for this occasion. A warm round of applause for him, please.
Good morning, my professional colleagues. Good morning, the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, and entourage, my President, Chairman of Council, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin. You are welcome, sir. You are all welcome to Yenegoa. Yenegoa, Bayelsa State. I'm almost the chief host. So I'm telling Mcpd, I welcome you to Yenegoa. But you I take exception of that. Yeah, welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. You're all welcome. Well, we started fine yesterday. It's supposed to be from 4th yesterday till tomorrow. Yesterday, we went on crossing calls to his governor's office, and our deputy governor received us very, very well. We also went to traditional rulers. They also received us and gave us their blessing. Now, the program has started. Let me know this more of your time. Let me know give that there. Now, after this, we're going to have a welcome address by the prime chairman of Yenegoa, Bayelsa State. Then after that, we're going to have a keynote address by the president and chairman of council, the Reverend Dr. Mcpd, a senior PhD. After that, we have a sensation of participants about other university. His Excellency, we have another university, and our registrar is also from this state. He's going to tell us more about the university side. After that, we have an address by our deputy governor welcoming us to the state. Then after that, we're going to have a vote of thanks by the chief executive officer, Anna, Dr. Kayode Fashira, PhD, CNA. After that, we go out for a photograph. Then we start our papers. We already started our paper 3. We continue from there. Then tomorrow, we have an open prayer, introduction of the chairman of the session, then announcements. After that, we have paper 4 and paper 5 and lunch. After that, we have orientation and induction of new members. We're also going to have another program tomorrow, meet the president and chairman of council. So if there's any question bothering you on Anna, prepare it and come up by tomorrow. The president and chairman of council will answer it. Now, I just saw on the branch that we're going to have a gala night by today. We'll talk more on that. Thank you once more, and you're all welcome. Thank you very much. Please, the Bayelsa chairman, can you come up for an address?
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Dori, here heavily represented by the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Lawrence Richako. The head of service here present, Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Finance, Maxwell Ebiba, the Accountant General of the State, Mr. Mcpd, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, Dr. Daniel Yenegoa, my able President, Anam, Nigeria, Professor Canon Osisoma. You are welcome, sir. The COE, Dr. Fashola. You are welcome, sir. First Vice President of the Association, Dr. James Liminabo. The second Vice here present, and every other council member, you are welcome to today's event. Here is an address presented by the State Branch Chairman, Prince Telebelakumo Omotete Ambari. It is with great pleasure and respect I welcome our dear President, Reverend Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisoma, PhD, FCNA, the Government Council, Mcpd Committee, staff of the National Secretariat, members and guests to this memorial occasion of the second season of the Mcpd holding here in Yenegoa, Bayelsa State. I am indeed overwhelmed and feel highly privileged to be standing here to address this gathering of accomplished professionals, academia, and leaders both in the public and private sector of our state, our country, and our association. As a professional association, I know that the Association of Nigeria treasures the training, retraining, and professional development of our members. The theme for this year's Mcpd Dynamics of Corporate Reporting and Governance is particularly significant because it is in line with our mission and touches at the heart of the corporate stability and progress. I believe that at the end of this program, participants will go back to their various destinations loaded with knowledge and skills needed for improved corporate governance, essentially for the development of our society. We sincerely appreciate the President and the Governing Council for giving Bayelsa State the approval to host this Mcpd. We also appreciate His Excellency Senator Dorietri and his Deputy Senator Lawrence Elijah for their support to the branch. I will not forget to mention Commissioner of Finance, the essay on technical and treasury, the Accountant General of the state for the huge support given to us to host this Mcpd and for graciously allocating and handing over a large portion of land to the association in Sampo Okokuma local government area of Bayelsa State. We have deeply grateful for your magnanimity and love for the association. I took over the mantle of leadership of this branch on the 25th of February 2022, just a month and a few weeks. And as a green-armed chairman, I was immediately confronted with the daunting task of hosting a program of this magnitude. I would have been overwhelmed if not for the support of some very special persons. First on the list is Dr. Ebibiowe Odu, FCNA, the former chairman and host of 2015 Mcpd here in Yenegoa, serving as the chairman of the local organizing committee for this Mcpd. I am indeed grateful to him and other members of his team. I am also grateful to the immediate bank chairman, Pastor Dr. Tony Richard Apri, FCNA, for his selfless service. And my thanks also goes to the Serving Expo and their support. My special thanks goes to Ms. Tokoni Ifidi, once again, the Accountant General of the state, for her support and encouragement. Indeed, she deserves a huge thanks. I also appreciate our Chief Dr. James, our home Dr. James E. Yenegoa, FCNA, the first Vice President, for his fatherly counsel, and the Chairman and members of the Mcpd Committee for their cooperation. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to Bayelsa State and this program. We have put together a whole range of activities to make your learning experience comfortable and memorable. Once again, I welcome you and wish you a successful and fruitful stay in Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands. And thank you and God bless.
A very warm round of applause for the Grand Chairman Bayelsa State. And then continues to distinguish itself as a premium brand of choice, a premium brand of excellence, a beacon of greatness, and an epitome of excellence. It is on this note that I would to invite the President Chairman of Council to deliver the keynote address for this occasion. Permits me, as I make welcome the President for delivering the speech from the high table. Please, with a warm round of applause, join me as I make welcome the President Chairman of Council of Ireland, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Chukna Osisioma, FCNA.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. He has kindly allowed me to speak to you from this position, sitting down. Please bear with me. Your Excellency, Governor of Bayelsa State, ably represented by his deputy, Senator Lawrence Erujako, members of the cabinet and top directors of the Bayelsa State government, council members of honor, particularly the son of the soil, our first Vice President, Dr. James Mcpd, Yenegoa, distinguished fellows and chairmen of the different branches of Adam, ladies and gentlemen, may I, on behalf of the council and the generality of Adam family, welcome you all to the second session of the 2022 Mandatory Continuing Professional Development Program, taking place here in Yenegoa, Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands. I like the way the Deputy Governor put it yesterday. Say, if it is good, it must have started in Bayelsa. And we are experiencing it at this outing. By the way, I was meditating on the logo or the symbol of the state that we were presented with yesterday. It has at the crest a leopard. On the left side, a crocodile. And on the right side, a shark. That's a wonderful. If you dare to touch a crocodile at the tail, I wish you luck. If you dare to confront a leopard, I need to tell the tale. And if you come face to face with a shark, and that blood will see the next day. So you can see the formidable nature of the state. Perhaps one of the most striking things you have noticed here is how this government has been bringing out new and new structures. We drove to the radio house for a recording. We made the mistake and went to something that this is a new place. We are preparing to move to the new place. We are not going with the old equipment, everything will be new. And look around, see so many new structures. Your Excellency, we congratulate you on what you are doing. I always say that with the power comes and power goes. And when power goes, the only thing that remains is what you do with that power. And we can see proof abundant that you are putting that power to use to improve the lives of your people. May God sustain you in this crusade in the name of Jesus. We also want to welcome our members to the second session, the dynamics of corporate reporting and governance. Recall that just in February, we had our first outing at Abuja. and the theme was Contemporary Developments in Public Sector Financial Accounting. We are spreading out our wings. By May, we're going to Bauchi. I think the theme for Bauchi will be audit, governance, forensic accounting and audit, and such like. And the last one for the year will be on the impact of technology in the practice of accounting. We want to have a holistic approach, bringing together, tying together all the different strands to make us worthy accountants. If after all these lectures, all these teachings, you remain the way you have always been, you of all men ought to be prosecuted. We must apply ourselves to the challenge. We must not go the way we came. This Mcpd must add value to your life and your practice. That's our prayer. Again, if you recall, at Abuja, the very first outing for the year, we launched the digital hub for Anna as a professional body. We are trying to come to a point where that's where the world is going. IFAC sent us a digital assessment framework check, and we discovered we are missing out on so many things. So we need to put our acts together. We need to harmonize our acts, and we need to come up with something that will make a definite impact on our society. So this particular training centers on the dynamics of corporate reporting and governance. Let me say quickly that the number one challenge for the accountant is to report. Ask any first-year student in accounting, in one word, tell us what accounting is all about. We mention, we communicate, for what purpose? To report. Based on our report, the executive will do a good job. If our report is deficient, the decision to be deficient, and there's no way the executive will rise out of the quagmire of inefficiency. So much depends on us. At times we think that we don't have a lot of power because we don't have an executive power to do certain things. Our power lies in our reporting. When we report, we highlight the situation on the ground. When we report, we draw attention of people to issues that are germane to good performance. So pay attention. Prepare yourself. A couple of years ago, when I was Director General of Nigerian College of Accountants, students from Bayelsa University came to see me as Director General. And I asked them a question. How do you get to know about this place? And they said, simple. There was this professional accountant in town who had a way of preparing his financial statements. They were so elegant, so informative, so proactive and innovative. And we wanted to know which professional body does it belong to. And we discovered it belonged to Anna and Suki. And so we wanted to come and see where Anna produces this kind of people. And so they came to the college. It is no surprise that professional man who produces exceptional accounts some years down the line was called upon by the federal government to become the accountant general of the federation. As to be the accountant general. So you need to market yourself by the quality of your work. In my days as a teacher, I used to talk about the ZECOM and a number of other things we use to convey knowledge. Use your pie chart, use your bars, whatever you find useful. Let your performance be such as to challenge your students, challenge your hearers, and draw out the best from them. And these are times when we are talking about sustainability reporting, not just financial reports. Our reports showing that the future is guaranteed by what we are doing today, or are we consuming our tomorrows today? We are where we are today because some people paid a price in the past. We must also learn to pay the price we need to pay. And accountants you're called upon to help make this happen. So I'm praying that after this, we will be exhibiting new skills, demonstrate new techniques, and rise to new heights. Your Excellency, I ask your permission to engage us to prepare themselves, attentively to all the presentations, and actively participate in everything that will be done in order to turn out the best accountant they can be. We cannot say we are accountant to the nation if we are not the best. We must want to be the best. Thank you once again, and God bless.
President and Chairman of Council of Language, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, FCOE. With the keynote address being read by the President and Chairman of Council of Ireland, we will be going to the next program of event, and that is the sensitization of participants about Ireland University by the Registrar of the University, Mr. Om Faithful. You're welcome, please. Welcome, Mr. Faithful, as he makes his sensitization at the university. The Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, distinguished Senator Lawrence Erujako, and the entire state representative present here, the president of this premium association, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, the first vice of the association, Chief Dr. James E. Levinebo, the second vice, Hajia Talatu Kishmi, and the immediate past president of this noble association, Professor Muhammad Akaro Mainama, and other distinguished members of council of this premium brand association, distinguished fellows of this association, members, and will be inductees. I greet you all in the Bayelsa style. Onwa, Odo, Alwa. My name is Mr. Mo Faithful Denifa, and I'm here standing as the registrar of your noble university, the newest university in this nation, which is a brainchild of the Premium Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, they say that the future belongs to those who can dream and who can work towards their dreams. Your association is one that sees the future, that dreams of the future. And today, what had been is now a reality. The University, Anand University, Kwal Plateau State, is here to stay. As we talk now, the university has commenced its second semester. It is primarily made for people, especially members of this association, that are interested on pushing further to actualize their dreams for a postgraduate degrees, PhD, MSc, and PhD in various fields of accounting, having 7 departments with qualitative, contemporary to the 1st century areas of specialization like auditing and forensic accounting, and environmental, oil and gas accounting. No, I deliberately made mention of this last one because I know people of this extraction of Nigeria will definitely be interested in anything that has to do with
environmental, oil and gas accounting. So please, it is open for you. It is open for you. The university is equipped with premium brand lecturers. A good number are distinguished lecturers, professionals, professors of this noble organization that are making great waves internationally. Despite, and in that vein, you see that the lectures of the university is also geared towards enhancing qualitative education of the 21st century, in the sense that lectures are made on dual base, as it is obtainable in international standard. It is made digital. Some of our students are right here present, and they can attest to the fact that some have comfortably had our lectures right in their bedrooms, right in their offices, and some have comfortably had their lectures right at the university premises. It is for people like you that are already active in their offices. You have no limitations. The association, you know, is an association that thinks as a 21st century association. You know, no association in Nigeria like this have gotten a university, which is a plus to the people that have been piloting this association. We have e-libraries where lectures are being, it's like a repository, where lectures, study materials, and everything is being deposited. Where at your own time too, you can still fall back, get access to it. Reappraise yourself with lectures and go home. And to make it work better for you, members of the association, a 25% discount had been made available for every member of ADA. And you know that the Nigerian College of Accountancy gives you a dual certificate, which is chartered, and a postgraduate diploma in accounting. So when you are coming, you are going straight to your MSc program. So that is one of the advantages again. So please, do well to come and be a part of this history-making university. None of the universities established together with us have been able to even get a first semester. We are in our second semesters. There is no strike. Committed, dedicated lecturers, committed, dedicated staffs, and in that regard, I also thank members of council and distinguished president of this association, who doubles as the pro-chancellor of the university, and also the immediate past president, who doubles as the chairman board of trustees. You know very well that you are in safe hands. We are just right back at that entrance there. Those of you that are digitally inclined, 21st century guys, just log on to www.annauniversity.edu.ng. You make all your registrations online. But if you want us to help us to be right on ground here, fully equipped, we register you right on ground and you become a student right from this hall. So please take advantage of it. Tomorrow we'll have more sensitizations on the program. In this regard, I thank the chairman of council and members of council for this privilege, and to you, our very
Organization is the son of the soil. I think it deserves another round of applause, please. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my special privilege and honor to at this point invite a special guest of honor of this great occasion, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Ijiri, who is ably represented here by His Excellency, distinguished Senator Lawrence Inuchapo, the resourceful miracle Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State. Please, can we join our hands together as we step forward for his special remarks on this occasion? Please remain seated, even as we join our hands as His Excellency step forward to make his special remarks for this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The head of the service of Bayelsa State, honorable commissioners of the State Executive Council here present, I want to abridge the government protocol by recognizing all other government functionaries that are here at this occasion. I want to in particular recognize Reverend Colonel Professor Benjamin Shuka Osisioma, President of ANAN and Chairman of Council, and Pro-Chancellor, ANAN University, because you definitely have to describe the tree properly for people to know the destination of the tree. And so I want to give you all your full compliments. I also want to recognize the son of the soil, the first Vice President, Chief Dr. Yenegoa, who is President in waiting by virtue of the knowledge I got yesterday. I want to also recognize the Chief Executive Officer and Registrar of the ANAN College and ANAN Profession, Kayode. I want to here please wish to seek your permission to sit and rest my head by the already established protocol of the council members and other top functionaries of ANAN that are here today in Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands. Again, I want to repeat myself by conveying the apologies of His Excellency the Governor of our state, Senator Doyle Adiri, who is unavoidably absent to declare this occasion open, who has asked me to represent him in this occasion. As you are aware, the fact that the antelope is not present physically does not make his absence in any doubt. Sure, the drums will beat are from the skin of the antelope. And so, whether it's there or not, antelope is available. And so, the absence of the governor I don't think will be much felt, since the skin is here to be beaten. Again, I want to use this opportunity on behalf of His Excellency to welcome all of you to this great state of Bayelsa, the glory of all lands, and in particular to this hallowed, reverend, solemn, very, very celestial hall, which we call the Economical Center in Bayelsa State. Well, the issue is that those of the same globing feather will contribute together in the nearest proximity. And so I'm not surprised that ANAN decided to use this hall for their continuing education or their development program. Maybe because he who wears and carries a goat will be known by how his neck looks. And so you have a Reverend Canon as your president. And so there's no way you have done this outside the church. And so you are here for twin events, both spiritual and intellectual development. And I hope you get the two in double fold. I want to state that the theme of your conferences have always been very exciting, mind-questioning, and also intellectual head-scratching. Your team here and the other ones, which the President and Chairman of Council has referred to, are quite apt and contemporary. If you what you know cannot change you, you change what you know. And that's the only way you can become relevant. If you know something and that remains what you are and does not make any impact, therefore means there's a problem, and we'll definitely have to change what we know. Those who have made contributions in society are those who change what they know that can no longer carry them to where they ought to be. For those who do not change what they know, they remain where they are, and there is no change. Knowing fully well that the world is a world of change, a world of mutation, a world of inconstancies, so that we must live to the times and the dictates of the prevailing situations and the environment to which we are. And that is why man is very, very responsive to entropy. We interact with the environment and the environment interact with us. in our ability to be consistent and coterminous with the environment limits our capacity to achieve our objectives and what we are set to do. As we know, the green leaves is the glory of the palm tree. The red tail is the glory of the parrot. The white feather is the glory of the eagle. Proper recording and reporting is the glory of the accountants. And so, once you are not able to discharge this duty, it therefore means your glory is no longer with you. And it's always very unfortunate when our glory is no longer with us. It means we are empty shell, like the empty periwinkle, which is of value on the soil, but it brings no value to the man who has picked it home. And so, I will really encourage us as people who have an intended to circumcise our minds, to be open. I will suggest that will be as plain as possible as the plain slate of a new entrant into a primary school. You know, the first entrant into a primary school has the cleanest slate because nothing has been written on it. And so with that, they can put anything and inscribe anything. But once we do not do that, if we have something on the slate already before we come to the class, the tendency is that we find it difficult to have a space to write what we are being taught. And so, the best way to learn more is to keep an open mind. Sometimes, when we live in hunches, stereotypes, and paradigms, it makes it difficult for us to assimilate the new things that we are being told. There is no time new knowledge is not sent forth. The problem is the availability of the mind to be a fertile soil that will assimilate and allow the germination of these new ideas that are being planted in our minds, our hearts, of soil. And so I really want to encourage us to use the opportunity of this self and continued development to take the opportunities as to the presentations. I have scanned through the about 5 topics that you have to grapple with before you leave here. All of them are relevant. Now, coming to the topic, which is dynamics of corporate reporting and governance. As you are aware, what you show is what people know. What you do not show, nobody knows. And that is why people know the snake, but they don't know how dangerous it is until it stings you. Because the venom of the snake is always kept secret to the snake. And so, without positive and accurate reporting, governance will become a challenge. Countries, nations, society, even families have made decisions that are very collateral as a result of wrong reporting in terms of the available resources and how those resources can be applied. When we talk about resources, apart from man, the other most important resource is finance. Because even the Bible acknowledges that the superiority and powerfulness and awesomeness, not up to the level of God, of money, because he says, money answereth all things. In any case, he also gave a proviso that money is the root of all evil. And so, when we just oppose the two, money answereth all questions, money being the root of all evil, if we just oppose the two and try to have a consensus added in, it therefore means that for us to ensure that money does not become the root of all evil, we must report money appropriately and utilize money effectively. And so, it is a duty upon us. Unfortunately, this burden is not on everybody's shoulder. I am a lawyer by profession and a politician by practice. And so, it's like announcing a meeting salt to the rats, what you are doing today. But it will also be necessary for the rats to know whether after the announcement of the salt, they will announce the missing fish. Because that is where his accusation will lie. But to make it a point blank, it is on your shoulder. The burden is on your shoulder to discharge this responsibility of correct and proper reporting. As the president alluded while he was making his remarks, there is no way government decisions cannot be dislocated or disabled if the proper reporting is not done by you, who are the accountants. And so our reporting does not go, must go beyond the balance sheets of we brought in 2 naira and brought in 3 naira. No. We must be analytical. We must be futuristic. We must also be dynamic in the reporting, so as to bring all the dynamics and variables that will affect our micro and macro economic decisions. Because we have what's called the micro and macro economic decisions. All of them put together makes a society to be economically viable or economically inviable. And so I really want to encourage us that while I would not want to take the wind of the sail of the guest lecturers and all those who are going to present, in any case, I can't be like them because they are all professors and entrenched traditional rulers in the field of accounting. I am a hurried visitor to this place. I will also want to hurry out, but it will be necessary for me to make these points, and that is what I'm just trying to make. And so, I really want to encourage us, we expect to see a born-again accountants from the South-South zone and others who have come to join us as sympathy South-South members. And for our accountants in Bayelsa State, I said it yesterday to the President and members of council who visited us yesterday in the office. I want to put on record that we have one of the brightest, the most brilliant, the most performing, the most erudite, the most knowledgeable, the most determined, the most competent, the most capable, and the most indispensable of our accountants in Bayelsa State. And so we use this opportunity again to pat them on the back and to add an eagle feather to their caps of achievement as a result of what they did during the consultancy that required us to access the World Bank loans as a result of the COVID and other financial institutions. I can tell you that we have not engaged any consultant, financial experts, to help us tidy up our documents or even design our systems and processes. Our office, our TSA, and other financial reforms that the state has undertaken, they've all been done with the capacity of our accountants in the state. And so, we are not going to be like the lizard that fell from top of the Iroko tree. Rather, we are going to behave like the crocodile that has triumphed over a fish that was in the water. And so, thumbs up for all our accountants in the state, led by the Commissioner of Finance and the Minister represented by the Accountant General and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, and the Accountant General of the state. We are well pleased with you, and we believe that you continue to keep it better. I believe this, again, will be an added knowledge to your bundle of knowledge that will make you to perform your duties more effectively. Like I said, if a man talks for too long, he's under two influence, either the influence of alcohol or the influence of the Holy Spirit. And I may not want to say, and I may not want to deny the fact that we are in the church, and so there's an attempt of the Holy Spirit, but definitely I will deny the presence of alcohol. And so it's on that note that I want to, on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Dayela Adiri, declare this workshop open to the glory of God and to the well-being of Nigeria. Thank you and God bless.
Give me a round of applause for the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Lawrence Ewushambo. That was a very brilliant discourse, laced with great words of wisdom, adages, proverbs, and words that will forever be guiding our minds. It is on these notes, in showing appreciation to the Deputy Governor and all the group of speakers who have been here with the entourage of the Governor, Deputy Governor, that I wish to invite to the podium the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of National Governments of Nigeria, Dr. Kayode Olusolapashua, FCNA, to deliver the vote of thanks for this occasion. Please, a warm round of applause for Anand Chief Executive, Dr. Olusolapashua. You're welcome, sir. Please celebrate Anand Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you very much. I'm still feeling dizzy from that last speech. He said he didn't want to take the wind of the sail, but the wind has already been taken off the sail. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye, ably represented here this morning by the dynamic and resourceful Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Lawrence Erojabo, the President and Chairman of Council of Annan, Reverend Canon Emeritus Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, all other protocols duly observed. On behalf of the President and Chairman of Council of Annan and the entire Council and members of Annan, we'd like to appreciate the Most High God this morning for the successes that we have thus far recorded in this second session of the 2022 Mcpd holding in Bayelsa, in Yenegoa, Bayelsa State. Let me acknowledge and appreciate our most revered invited guests and dignitaries present here this morning for honoring us with their presence despite their tight schedule. Especially our most resourceful Deputy Governor. I don't know the word to use for him. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I had not recovered from yesterday's visit. And this morning, I think after this program, I'll just go and sleep so that I can fully recover. Just presenting a plaque to our president yesterday of the symbol of Bayelsa State. He gave a literature of a plaque and ended up telling our president that if you are faithful with that plaque and you are positive towards it, you will get the benefits of the plaque. But if you are not positive towards it, that all those things in the plaque, the crocodile, the leopard, look at that one now, the shark will appear to him in his dream. And so this morning when I saw the president, I knew that they didn't appear to him in his dream because he woke up very well. And he told us to come back in 9 months' time. I don't know the meaning of that because a lot of people have adduced a lot of meaning to that 9 months' time. Your Excellency, Deputy Governor, Bayelsa State, you are a wonderful man. We thank you very much. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. Thank you for all the State Executive Council members that are here, that have followed you to be here. We are very grateful unto you. In the same vein, we appreciate all the council members of Annan that are here present this morning, all past presidents of Annan that are here. If there are deputy past registrars that are here, or CEO, our acting DG, wherever he may be right now, for making Bayelsa Mcpd outstanding. To the leadership of Annan Bayelsa State Branch, under the leadership of Mr. Omotete and Barry, CNA, and indeed other state branches within the South-South Zone region of Nigeria, we say thank you very much. We know the magnitude of efforts that have gone into what we are witnessing and will witness within the next few days. Thank you for your excellent organization. The Annan Council committees on Mcpd and membership cannot be left out in appreciation. You have worked tirelessly in ensuring that we have a hitch-free session. We say thank you. And this is to let all of you know that Annan leadership is proud of you, and we do not take your personal and collective sacrifices for granted. Thank you very much. To our dear fellows of Annan, our members, our will be inductees in the next few hours. We celebrate you as always. We hope you will all enjoy the second session of Mcpd in Yenegoa and the warmth of the Bayelsa people. To our erudite facilitators, who have and will be delivering outstanding content, and I deeply appreciate you. We are most grateful. Once again, on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council of ANAN, Reverend Canon Emeritus Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, and the entire Council members of ANAN, we thank you all and wish you all a safe return to your various destinations at the end of this session. We say thank you and God bless you. And so shall we rise up to our feet as we take the national anthem.
Thank you. Please, we don't have a new photograph here. Please, you have to manage here. The deputy governor will now. Wait for the deputy governor to leave, please.
Distinguished professional colleagues at this point in time, with formal commencement of this program and the end of the opening ceremony, we will be proceeding in the course of the business session as we continue with our paper on corporate governance code and reporting in Nigeria, which is being led by Professor Ifeoma Mary Ogwo, FCNA. At this point in time, I wish to invite to the podium Professor Ifeoma Mary Ogwo to continue in the delivery of the paper. Please, a warm round of applause for Professor Ogwo, please.
Please, my professional colleagues, can we get seated? Can we get seated, please? The photographers, you can leave us for now. We are due with the opening ceremony. Please, can we get a room of the gallery? Can you leave the gallery, please? Sit down. The photographers, you can get the security people. We don't want any photographer for now. Let's go back to our normal business of the day, please. Please get seated and listen to our last lecture. Our first lecture, sorry.
Thank you. I've been given 5 minutes to conclude. Another 5 minutes for questions. That's 10 minutes. So ICT, my work. So we were talking about the highlights of the Code of Conduct 2018. And we are here where we talk about the remuneration policy. We have the remuneration clawback exempted payments. There won't be time, otherwise I would have explained that. We have external audit firm and audit partner. What is the provision? What is the rule? What are the rules and codes about that? Now we have that the maximum number of years an external audit firm can serve a company is 10 years and cannot be reconsidered for reappointment until after a 7-year period of disengagement. And we have rotation of audit partners, no more than 5 years. In an audit firm, after a maximum of 5 years, we rotate the audit partner so that we ensure independence. We have risk management. We mentioned that we have risk management committee that will also report to the board, and the code makes it mandatory for a risk manager to be appointed, who should be a staff that will be doing this work on behalf of the committee. It reports to the committee, through the committee to the board about we have compliance. The code encourages board to ensure that companies comply with laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and other applicable requirements. And most importantly, it should be reported. It should form part of what to be reported. It also requires the external auditor to report to the regulator or an observed instance where companies commit an indictable offense under the law. That is our concern, the reporting aspect, to know what to do. Then it talks about whistleblowing. The code encourages whistleblowing activity and will protect protection of the whistleblower. The sustainability, where you talk about environment, social and governance, where corporate social responsibility activities will be reported under this sustainability. It's a very important disclosure in the financial statements. We also talk about disclosure. The code brought out areas of disclosures needed, and very important, we are going to list out the disclosure because as an accountant, it's our duty to disclose all what you should disclose, especially as required by the Code of Conduct. The code contains an extensive disclosure requirements in the annual report. Some of the items are: 1, corporate governance practices and level of compliance with the code must be disclosed. Summary of annual evaluation report of the board, including the names of the consultants who carry out the evaluation. Sustainability policies and programs, director remuneration and remuneration policy, related party transactions, directors' interest in contracts, company policies in accounting and risk management. These are the disclosures, some of the disclosures that the code specifies that must be disclosed in the financial statement. That is the reporting aspect of corporate governance. Now, in the beginning of the lecture, I said, in addition to what we have in corporate governance, that is SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, brought us some guidelines to fill in the gaps where the codes are not very clear, or where they are not, like, according to SEC, we have the board structure that says it should not be less than 5. Nothing was mentioned in the code. We have the family and interlocking directorship, office of the board, minutes of meetings should be given at least 1 week before the time. Independent non-executive director, at least one director should be, at least one of them should be an independent non-executive director. We have the nomination and governance, audit committee, appointment of the board, but information about a proposed appointee should be made available to the shareholders, board evaluation, remuneration, internal audit functions, and so on and so forth. Now, corporate governance is also needed in public sector. We mentioned the SM because they also manage the activities of the sectors. We have the international public sector, the Institute of Public Sector, and international IFAC. Their own framework on corporate governance or government governance in public sector entities. For lack of time, I may not go there now. We can conclude, but here, the role of accountants. What is the role of accountants in all this we have been doing? Our role is to report what we should report, especially the areas that are mentioned in corporate governance. To make all disclosures as required by the code, we said accountants therefore have an important role to play in ensuring effective corporate governance in organization and building trust of stakeholders. In summary, it should play the following roles as listed there, and in conclusion, the role of accountants in ensuring effective corporate governance cannot be overemphasized. It is the responsibility of the accountant to make corporate governance the priority of organizations, thereby ensuring accountability and transparency. The codes of corporate governance are designed to ensure that organizations are transparent in all their dealings. Accountants should ensure that these codes are followed and adhered to, and the level of compliance disclosed in the financial statement. In as much as accountants may not be able to force these bodies to practice it, but it should be able to report the compliance will also play our roles in ensuring good corporate governance in organizations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's clap for her again. Let's clap for Prof. It's not easy to stand here and pick up on this topic. I don't want to waste much of our time. We need just 3 questions.
Welcome, 3 questions from the audience. Okay, we have one person. Can you step forward? Step forward, please. We need 2 more questions. Please, one. Please step forward. And 1 more question, please.
You say your membership number, your state, and your name.
And we have 3 members with their questions ready. Okay, please step forward.
Your name and membership number.
My President, Chairman of Council, permit me to lean on already established protocol. My name is Yise Kadwa Samuel from Plateau State, Jos. I want to appreciate the presenter for a wonderful job done. And Ma, you made mention that no executive directors are only permitted or allowed to have 0.01% shares. In a situation whereby somebody disguise or buy more shares through others, or abbreviate his name or change a little of his identity and get more shares, when it's being discovered, what will the board do? Thank you.
Permit me to stand on the same protocol. I'm Yenegoa Sunday, membership number 6586 from the Office of General Delta State. Currently, we have Delta State. We required the ministries to establish audit committees. What should be the ideal composition of the membership of the audit committee? Ministries, or like private sector, ministries, what should be the composition of the membership of the audit committee? Thank you.
Please permit me to stand on already established protocol. I'm Akwa Johnson from Akwa Ibom State, a prospective inductee. Prof, I want to thank you for this wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. But I have a question to ask. The question is this. The highlight of the presentation as to accountant and auditors is reports. And the question is very simple and straightforward. Now, as an auditor, you know the final seal of audit is report. And you have issued your report as an internal auditor. And that report has caused the management to move you out of your office, serving as internal audit, and they post you out to a back door where nobody sees you. I want to find out what role are we playing? Is Adam playing as a provisional body when they get to hear of such developments? That is number 1. Number 2, why is it that the management are so afraid, or I want to say, want to insurance internal auditors in the course of discharging their responsibilities, as you have pointed out, good of corporate governance, whether in the private sector or in the public sector. You say that corporate governance is all about people, how organizations are directed and controlled. And the policies are set by this board. And you are there, the internal audit is just there to ensure that things work out the way they set out. And for you to do this, you are victimized. Please, I want to know the rule that that ANAN is playing as a provisional body so that you protect your members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The resource person will now respond to the questions. But before that, please, a council member of ANI has a comment. He is Professor Suleiman Arua FCN. Please, once you make a comment.
Thank you very much, Prof. the presenter, for the elaborate presentation. Number one, just to add to the presentation that under the corporate annual reporting, which requires professional accountants to report on compliance with National Code of Corporate Governance 2018, there is a prescribed reporting format that we expect every member of this association to download and understand how the reporting format applies to us. It's based on principle of apply and explain, and we should be able to know the content and the requirements and be able to respond on all required value reporting, particularly as it relates to corporate governance compliance. I want to give this information because it's a very, very important instrument that we should have and learn how to do that reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have 3 questions, but the fourth one is just a comment and advice. The first person says, where's a non-executive director has, I think the person is an independent non-executive director, has a share over 0.01%. What will happen? If it is a public company, this is just 2018, and if already before then, the person has above this, what is the implication? Can sell off the share. It has to say if it's a place where you can sell like public firms, you sell off the share so that other owners will come and buy into that. And that is the implication of that section. Meaning that there must be an amendment into what will happen. Sells off the shares and has 0.0. Why? They don't want them to be part owner. They want them to be an observer of what happens in the company so that they can give true and fair view of everything they see there. 2, we have composition. The second person says, what is the composition of membership of audit committee in a ministry? I may not be very specific about ministry. I know that audit committees, we normally consider, one of the, we have internal auditor. Internal auditor of the organization, who is a staff, must be there. The internal auditor will report to the committee every observation made against what are both good and bad. Financial statements, details of internal control system. The internal auditor will be there. The chief executive is not a member of audit committee. We have the nets, INETs, and some the secretary, company secretary should be one of them. The internal auditor, then some nets and some other directors that are appointed by the board. That is why once you have audit committee, like I am a member of audit committee of a board of a bank, I mean a microfinance bank. Each time we have this committee, the internal auditor reports us, and there we call the MD, we call the CEO, ask question about why is this done this way? Why is it not done this way? And that is the essence of having it. The member for ministry, I may not, maybe if, I don't know, I may not know the composition in the ministry, but I know that the internal auditor and some of the directors outside will be there. The CEO, the MD, the EDs, they are not part of the audit because it is their processes that is being evaluated there. So they are not expected to be part of it. Then the third person says, effect of reports when the auditor, when you make your reports and you are pushed out or you are replaced, or each time we have this, we talk about code of conduct, I expect somebody will ask. I will continue to say the rules are there. Even if they will be victimized, do the first thing first and see what happens. And I now say that is where we come. If the first person is victimized, another person comes in, is victimized, the third person comes in, and the CEO will say, this accountant, this time I replace this other person. Another person will come and do exactly what the first person did. At the time, he will not continue replacing. It may look theoretical, but that is the solution. If all of us, after coming here, will say, okay, I have learned this, I will do it as required, and all of us go back to our offices and apply it, then nobody will be victimized, because all of us do carry our duties as expected to do. Moreover, we have this window of whistle blowing. You can blow the whistle. You may not show your identity. If anything is, it can be blown. There's a part of the codes that talk about whistle blowing. Blow the whistle, and the board will act on it and make sure that your interest is protected. And the last one is the comment that our council member made, that there's a format. How do we report? Well, what we have been saying is we should report this, and that. That there must be a format. There's a format. You can go to FRCN website to download the format that we can use to report these corporate governance issues as mentioned in our lecture. Thank you.
One round of applause for Professor Ifeoma Onko, FCME, a seasoned intellectual, and she has brought that to bear with her expertise and level of delivery. Please, one round of applause for her. At this point in time, with the kind permission of the President and members of the Governing Council, I wish to proceed in the order of the program by inviting to the podium the next speaker. He is Dr. Barrister Lawan Effiong. He is solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He currently serves as a council member of the Nigerian Economic Society, as an associate editor of the society, and also the Nigerian Journal of Economics. Is here today to deliver this very important topic titled Development in Sustainability Reporting Framework. Please, with a warm round of applause, please welcome Dr. Barrister Lawan Effiong. You're welcome, sir, please. Let's celebrate him, please.
Thank you very much. Chairman of Council and the entire Council members. It's a privilege to be here once again. I want to particularly thank the President for his warm hand of fellowship. Each time I look at the text message he sent to me, it was very prophetic, and I keep praying over it every time. Thank you, Daddy. God bless you. To thank the entire members of council. We don't have much time. I therefore want to go briefly into what we have. Development in Sustainability Framework. My name is Daniel. The next slide has to do with presentation outline. Quickly, we're going to look at the introduction. We're going to look at the lecture objectives, definition of concepts, history of sustainability reporting, differences between sustainability reporting and financial reporting, drivers of sustainability reporting, developments in sustainability reporting frameworks, choice of sustainability reporting templates, benefits and challenges. We have time, and then we quickly go into the conclusion.
So introduction. The concept of sustainability reporting is rooted of course, the management science is one of the courses that runs through the blood. Management science is economics. You cannot have any mission into management science without having taken a course in economics. And when we talk about development, the first thing that comes to play is economic growth, and that has been the obsession of economists for so many decades. But we soon discovered that there is a possibility for an economy to grow without it necessarily developing. When we talk about GDP, gross domestic product, when we talk about increases in the real GDP. But if economies grow, how does it have impact on the people? And that's when we talk about development. In other words, we can have a situation where an economy is growing, yet the people are poor. We can have an instance where the economy is growing, poverty is increasing, unemployment is increasing, inequality is increasing, and self-esteem, it's growing high, literacy is growing high. And therefore, that brought us to the concept of development. Development is human-centered. Development must trickle down to the people. So we don't just want to see buildings, we don't want to see infrastructure, we want to see that this GDP we are talking about has particular effect on the people. And so that's where we talk about development. But then even after talking about development, we went a little bit further. The concept evolved from growth to development and then to sustainable development. That is why if we understand sustainable development, then the entire issue of sustainability reporting will quickly understand it. So what is sustainable development? Sustainable development, as I've said here, is development that has to do with the future. In other words, you are making use of today's resources, but having the future in mind. Remember, everything we have in this house, everything that we can ever produce has to do with the environment. We took it from Mother Earth. The planes, the aeroplanes, the computers, and what have you. It is from nature. And it is only by grace that we are living presently to use them. And therefore, if we make use of society's resources, environmental resources now, and then without considering our unborn generation, the unborn children, and then if we deplete them, therefore means the development we are having now is not sustainable. So sustainable development is simply that development that takes care of today and therefore has a futuristic time frame. In other words, we don't have to be selfish. We have to look at generations that are unborn, the resources for them, the biodiversity, the oceans, the fauna and the flora, everything that has to do with the environment, we need to consider them. So theoretically, the concept is tied to the stream of ecological modernization, which argues that economic growth and ecological concerns can be favorably combined. Therefore, sustainability recognizes interdependence of economics, social, and environmental values. So anytime you're talking about sustainable development, we're not just looking at development, we're not just looking at growth, we're looking about that development that is sustainable, that integrates these three aspects: the economics, the social, and the environment. So, what are the objectives of this paper? Number one is to distill and crystallize the current development in sustainability reporting. We need to know what has taken place over time, how it's evolved, and what have you, and also to investigate how diffused these developments have permeated into the Nigerian corporate space. So, what is sustainability reporting? It is a systematic tool to gather and present sustainability reporting information. We have said here that reporting is the entire onus of the accountants. We need to report it as it is, because it is the reporting that informs policy. Reporting informs the decisions that the executive must take, and therefore, if the reporting is defective, therefore the policies therefore will definitely be defective. So this systematic tool in gathering information, sustainability information, is for who? Number one is for management. must have it for stakeholders. The stakeholders are the employees, the shareholders, the customers, the local communities, NGOs, investors, and all of that. And then the global reporting initiative defines sustainability reporting this way, that it is a report published by a company or organization about the economic, environmental, and social impacts caused by everyday activities. Okay, so then you see there is a conceptual model. Please, can you get me to it? Okay, the conceptual model of sustainability reporting. So very quickly, you can see there that when we look at economic development in isolation, it's defective. When we look at environmental production and improvement, it's defective. When we look at reporting on social development alone, it's defective. But when the entire spectrum is integrated, in other words, the economic, the social, and the environmental, that is what we have sustainability reporting. And then the other model is there, the handout, the lecture is there fully, so we can quickly get that if we can't get it here now. So let us look at differences, differences between sustainability reporting and financial reporting. I think that will give us a better high view of the difference, because all along accountants are concerned with explicit information, but when we bring in environmental reporting, sustainability reporting, it incorporates both the explicit cost and the implicit cost of our production activities. And therefore, number one, sustainability reporting, in terms of time scale, the emphasis on financial reporting is in the reported year. Now, in terms of sustainability financial reporting, I'm looking at the current fiscal year, whereas for environmentally responsible economies in 1997, the service established the GRI department, whose aim was to create accountability mechanisms to ensure companies were following the service principles for responsible environmental conduct, such as, number one, sustainable use of natural resources, energy conservation, protection of the biosphere, audit, and report. And these are some of the principles. The GRI standards contain some principles that a company must mandatorily report. Number one, stakeholder inclusiveness, sustainability, context, materiality, completeness, accuracy. So we talked about accuracy here, that our report must tell it the way it is. Well, on that, I think theories or action speaks louder than words. I don't know how we'll be able to marry that theory and practice, but whatever we see is what we'll report without the risk, without standing the risk of being posted out, without standing the risk of it's better seen, it's better imagined. So let's leave it there. So balance and clarity, comparability, reliability, and timeliness. Let me quickly run. So it also has to do with the economic, social, and environmental impacts. We said that. And then the GRI also deals with the public sector guidelines. The supplement identified 3 different types of information that the public agencies can report. One, the broadest of them deals with macro level information on the state, environment, or society, which will be information that the state might report as part of the annual reporting. The second type of information deals with external public policies. The next one deals with agency public policies, which are sustainable development. For example, the process by which sustainable development policies were prioritized, how related implementation measures were developed, and how progress is being monitored, measured. The third type of information on the public sector aspect has to do with information reporting organizational performance, which can be reported through the use of performance indicators. So we have the United Nations Global Impact. I don't want to go into that for want of time. Like I say, the literature is there. We can sit well to read it and assimilate it. And then it has 10 principles, which has to do with to support and respect protection of internationally proclaimed human rights, make sure that they are not complicit in human human rights abuses. Some companies are producing, in a capitalist environment. People don't, the organizations, in as long as they are making their profit, they wouldn't mind depleting the environment, they wouldn't mind abusing human rights, exploiting labor. So sustainability reporting helps expose that, so that you are not just looking at financial statements. We made a profit of this, we made a loss of this, we had expenditure of this, we had revenue of this. No, it exposes the company. How are you protecting the workers? That's part of sustainability reporting, because we cannot be making profit when the human upon which development is supposed to be centered is being exploited. So for public organizations, we must look at how they are not complicit in human rights abuses. The next one is freedom of association and effective recognition of the right to collect bargaining, the elimination of all forms of forced and compulsory labor, the effective abolition of child labor, and the elimination of discrimination in employment, occupation, support to precautionary approach to environmental challenges, undertake initiatives to promote environmental responsibility. And then we also have, as the next one, so we have the GRI, we have the UN Global Compact, and then the next one is the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises. So we have them there. Now, very quickly, I don't want to go into all that, but let us look at International Standard Organization guidance on social responsibility. We have it there. That has to do with also human rights, labor practices, environment, fair operating practices, consumer issues, community involvement, and development. In addition to the 7 core subjects of sustainability reporting responsibility, the ISO also contains accountability, transparency, ethical behavior, and all that you have there: rule of law, respect for international norms, and respect for human rights. So we can see that sustainability reporting is so integrative. It's not just the narrow confines of financial reporting that we have been using. It's very integrative and gives a broader perspective on the performance of organizations. Okay, so very quickly, because I'm so rounding up my time. 5 minutes, okay. I don't want to cut me short. I'll cut myself short in righteousness. Okay, so let us look at national sustainability, rates of sustainability reporting for selected countries. If you look at it, please, can you let them see that? National rates of sustainability, that table on slide number 37, okay? Now, I brought that up for you to see that these are, in 2017, you will see Japan at the top, Sweden, Taiwan, Mexico, Spain, Australia, Malaysia, India. And then for Africa, it's only South Africa that made the list at the top global reporting sustainability rates of 92%. That was not there, but Nigeria did not fare badly. If you look at the next table, countries with rates higher than the global average, you see Nigeria there in 2017 had 88%, and in 2020 it had 85%. So we're not doing badly, but there is still room for improvement. So, choice of sustainability reporting templates. The KPMG survey of sustainability reporting indicates that the use of sustainability reporting guidelines and standards has increased. It's been pervasive for some time now. In 2020, a significant majority of reporting companies in both first 100 use 77%, and the other one 84% use some kind of guidance or framework to support their sustainability reporting. And GRI remains the most commonly used, that is the Global Reporting Initiative, remains the most commonly used reporting standard or framework used by 2/3 of the countries around the world. Benefits of GIR. Number 1, it enhances understanding of opportunities and risks. Number 2, it emphasizes the relationship between non-financial and financial performance. It helps organizations to develop strategy for spending resources in supporting non-financial performance. GRI guidelines also helps organizations avoid litigation costs for social and environmental negligence from social interest groups and consumers. It also helps organizations adopt to manage their SR practices to gain global recognition from peers and governments. So it is so developing that any company and any organization that does not develop or have SR as part of its governance practice will not be reckoned in the international, the global marketplace. No one will reckon with you, and therefore it is gaining momentum. So companies and organizations that do not sustainably report will definitely be led to the sidelines, to the margin. So conclusion, in summary, sustainability reporting really took off in the 1990s. The formation of the GRI and its guidelines are seen as major victories for sustainability reporting. Besides this contribution, there are other factors that contributed to the practice of sustainability reporting. Number one, public pressure. Number two, publicity, regulation, legitimacy. And then, however, even when SR is growing, there are some who prefer not to publish SR for reasons such as reporting is expensive, some things expensive, some lack of reports from competitors, and then so in order to assist in sustainability reporting, sustainability frameworks were formed by different organizations such as the GRI, the UN Global Compact, the OECD guidelines, and currently, as I said earlier, the Global Reporting Initiative is the most used sustainability reporting framework in the world. Thank you for your attention, and God bless you.
Round of applause for the resource person, Dr. Bayelsa Lionel Effiong, please. Please, one round of applause for him, please. That was a very brilliant lecture, well delivered. And at this point in time, we will be welcoming questions, comments, observations, and recommendations from members of the audience. To anchor this session, I wish to invite to the podium the chairman Mcpd committee to moderate this session of the lecture. Chief Peter Ayam, FCNA, to moderate the session of the questions and answers, please. One round of applause for Chief Peter Ayam, please.
We are just having, but before I say one or two things, the lovely gentleman that gave us today's lecture is so important. It's also a barrister. And it's not the way he was on talking to us. I quite appreciate it. Let's give him another applause again. Please after me. We have no three questions. Is it possible? Any questions? Do we get all events that are global, assembly reporting, more especially global reporting? Okay. My chairman, Mr. Long. Okay, well, then by tomorrow, we are going to be our members. So, any question from your side?
Mr. President, let me stand on the established protocols. I just want to ask, from all you've said, sustainability reporting is enforced just like persuasion. It means there is no law. That's what I want to establish. That is, it is a company can decide not to report, and there are no sanctions if you don't report. Is that way the best way to ensure this thing is done? Because if you look at this environment, you observe that a lot of companies engage in environmental acts that are negative to the environment and add to environmental degradation. And if there is no compulsion of any kind, are you sure that in Nigeria, in our setting, companies, especially the large multinationals, will just not ignore this sustainability report and go away scot-free with it. Thank you. My name is Edimo Iwodu, 8549. Thank you. 8549.
Thank you very much. Any other question before you list? Any other question? My Minister, can you quickly?
Yeah, I think your guess is as good as mine. That's the essence of a conference like this, a lecture like this, to crystallize and to ventilate ideas and put pressure. Remember, from what I said here, companies started reporting, not because of regulation, but because they were out of sync with what was happening. Remember, I talked about the legitimacy theory. When you find that you are getting out of sync with the environment, with the society and the community that you're operating from, then nobody will tell you to fall in line. However, the process might take long, but ultimately might get there. But I think the best way, as you might have thought, or everybody's thinking, is that there ought to be what? Regulation. Regulation to actually compel companies to what? To report. And I think as we gradually evolve and keep talking about these things, we'll get the legislations could be put in place in order to take care of these concerns. Thank you very much.
A very warm round of applause for Dr. Bayelsa FM. Please, if you have been learning new skills and knowledge, gained new expertise in this Mcpd, please give yourselves a round of applause. In continuation of our quest to broaden accountants' expertise in the broad field of accountancy, I wish to invite to the podium Professor Pius Vincent Okoye, FCMA, to deliver a paper by Dr. Nnagozie Nkwo, FCMA. Nnagozie Nkwo is a professional accountant with vast experience, both in practice and academics. He is also a fellow of the association. Please join us and make welcome Professor Pius Vincent Okoye, FCMA, to the paper.
The chairman of the occasion, council members, present, participants. I'm here to deliver this paper by Dr. Nnagozie Nkwo from the service. I went for management retreat and I was not able to be present. So yesterday I was asked to come and present the paper. The paper is on tax environment and effects on business. We are going to take it. I don't know the time, please. I want to know the time. How many minutes? Give me a time. Yes, I want to manage my time. 40 minutes. Okay? 15, 20, 12, 20 minutes. Okay. Now, the paper is on tax environment. We will be looking at tax environment, the effect of this tax environment on businesses in Nigeria. There are certain things I will skip that we have already in the paper and go to the areas of what I will consider stress. The areas the author would have loved to stress. I will spend more time there. We are looking at taxation. We know what tax is, a compulsory levy by government for purposes of financing the social services provided by them in terms of utilities, in terms of infrastructure, and what have you. And in doing this, we have had a number of reforms over the years, guided by certain activities. And these tax reforms, how it originated, some of us know it, but we may just say one or two things about it. We've had it in primitive times in various forms, people paying for what you have in the presentation, not using money to settle for amortization. They were using items of good products like cattle, farm produce, and even services. Services, yes, because you see something like music. You use your time, you are invited as part of it to come and play one of the evenings or two for the king. They are paying these taxes in those days, ancient days, to the rulers, the national rulers, by which may be spiritual and temporal. Some have rulers occupying these two positions, directing the spiritual welfare and the communal activities of the people. They pay tax to them in various forms. We have them. Are you moving? Okay. You have them by these traditional rulers, various names. Nigeria is blessed with nations. I will not be able to call all the names. We have the very popular ones. The Bale, the Emir, the Obi, the Wongwong, the Oba, and the rest of them. Too many of them. Litany of them. We have Opon. I think that is, I don't know whether it is Opon. And this side we have King. Right? Ahead. They are all these rulers we are talking about. And they pay these taxes to them in various forms in those days before the colonial masters arrival to Nigeria. And it continued. If we now try to historical documentation, I'm not a student of history. I only work with what is documented and what I have to do here. So practicing it goes on until they were defeated by the Roman Empire in 242 BC. After the defeat, they were practicing what even they have in the Christendom. It still survives today. They call it tithe. A fraction of what you produce, what you earn. Not in terms of money the way it is today. You produce yam, you count the yam, part of it, and they pay as tax. So when after their defeat, they adopted the Roman Empire and started applying it in their empire. And the religious groups, Christendom, and started buying into it, modifying that Carthage method of taxation to what we have in the present day. So when we come to our country, Nigeria, the taxation system was actually well developed up north before the advent of the colonial master. It may not have been documented, but they have a system of taxation well coordinated by different names. We have the land tax, we call Kudin Kasa. If I don't pronounce it, don't kill me. I'm only trying my best to pronounce it the way I have it written. So we have Zaka, the cattle tax, Jangari, we have plantation tax, and on all crops and the rest of it. We even have the one that is very coordinated by all the emirates, the one they pay to the Sokoto Emirates, Sokoto Gaiswa. They have it paid by other emirates to the Sokoto and Kwandu Emirates. Now, with the advent or the coming of the colonial masters, Onuga introduced community tax in 1904 only in the north, because he saw a system that is already well organized, well coordinated. So it's just easy for him to start applying it. And when he amalgamated the northern and southern protectorate of Nigeria in 1917, he tried to replicate the same. But he didn't go down well with the people, because that gave rise to the first known coordinated riot in the south from Abiogute area, pockets of riots, people protesting against the possession of such a community tax. So you will see the pictures, the various instruments that they are using for exchange, which people were asked to pay tax. And then you see the people that man the gates, the gatekeepers, the chiefs. If you go to the next page, you will see the chiefs. Some of them, we capture all of them anyway. Just some few of them. The emir, the OB, the Oba, and the rest of them. They are the ones that collect these taxes from the people, their subjects. And then the nature of this taxation, the way we have it in modern economy or nation, is not ordinary like before, because it's now backed by law, the statutory. They are by nature obligations created by the law. That's why we have different tax laws. We have CETA, we have PITA. We have not PITA, somebody's name. We have petroleum property tax and about 10 from the Federal Inland Revenue Service as captured. Then you have the local ones, including the illegal ones. If you add the ones that we consider legal, they are 41 in number from federal, state, and the local governments. Then we have other ones that are collecting that are not part of it, and including the ones imposed by the ministry, departments, and agencies of government. And what is the purpose? Ordinary is supposed to be to regulate and control, create income for economic development, to control pricing, and to advance, to some extent, reduce inequality. I don't know whether that is part of our objective in this nation anyway. Then we have allocation of scarce resources. Now, the government also uses it to influence behavior. There are things or items which they cannot legally prohibit from doing, but they use taxation to discourage people from getting involved. You check the level of taxation, the percentage that is applied to tobacco. The percentage that is applied to alcohol and alcohol-based drinks and so on is much higher than what you have. And of late, under this Finance Act 2021, something happened, something that has never happened before. Therapy that was introduced as for privileges, non-alcoholic privileges. I'm not a medical doctor, I wasn't there when they did it, but if you ask me, I will say based on statistics that the number of people suffering from diabetes, which is somehow sugar related, which has to do with some of these things, and even cancer, they are pointing a finger to some of these drinks that are not natural. I don't know why, whether that is the reason, whether that is the justification. But coming from this side that use it to discourage, I want to believe that gradually government will want to push people away from that, so that people will start taking natural and agricultural products. Now, what are the conditions for a good tax system? We talk of when you make this law, since they are statutory these days, they are backed up by law. So when you make it, is it the law you are breaking? Is it fair? How simple is the application? That is simplicity. And the process of its collection, is it transparent? And then those enforcing it, the administrative aspect, is it easy? Is it difficult? And is it complete? That is it adequate? There are a number of theories. Theory and practice are not the same. That back up these different taxes and law we have. The first one is talking about the social importance theory, where you are looking at proper distribution of tax burden. Because if you see taxation, if you Google, the first symbol you will see is somebody carrying a heavy load. That load you are carrying shows that it's a burden. nobody will want to carry it because me, I will not want to carry any load on my head. So that's why it's an imposition. Yes, and people see it as such. But there is another school of thought that is also canvassing something contrary to this standpoint. But this one is based on this first theory. Now the next one is talking about social political theory. Okay? If we agree that you use it to control behavior, then you also use it to, you can reasonably argue that you can use it to correct societal ills. Then the next one is benefit receipt theory or price theory. That assume this is about exchange in relation between taxpayer and state. The question is there any connect between the tax we are paying and the services we are getting? It's a very big question. But that's a strong point. I've seen it, but there are some states that have started trying. I was told, I've not been there, it was reported actually, that in a state like Para State, you see places they are collecting money from these market people, and then the government will come and declare the amount collected and the percentage they are giving back to them. They are using it to give them roads, using it to give them water. I don't know, it was reported. I've not been to Raleigh since then. I've been to Raleigh before, yes, but I've not been there. So people from there will know whether it's true or not, but I think it will be true because if it's not true, they can't be reporting it openly like a national like that. It may not be very comprehensive, but they've started something in that direction. I've also seen it outside this country. You see, your money is working for you. They are doing roads. They tell you that it's your tax that are using to do the road for you, and you are now having a sense of give back from the government. Government is now giving an account of what you are paying to them as. Now the other one is talking about the organic theory, the system of the existence of a state in performance of these functions. Because we know we have social goods, there are certain items we cannot provide for ourselves individually. There is no way all of us will start constructing those from our houses to every other place we want to go. Constructing bridges, providing electricity and the like. It may be very difficult. And more important is something like this security. The government now take it up, and in doing that, we, the citizens, they are now performing that function that keep providing this service. Now pay something in return to contribute to the finances or the fund needed to keep it running. Then the next one is the theory force. That the weak pays the winner or the powerful, okay? Conquest, that is I don't know whether it's still there, but we see systems like that, like it's now happening. Russia believes that it's strong, mighty, and is using force to annex an independent country, and tomorrow they have oil and the rest of them. They may start taxing them. I don't know if you're getting it. That's the type of situation that is being described here. And in the olden days, it's common, even in this country, everywhere. That's how these colonial people came here, killed a number of people, colonized the different communities, different nations, and the entire country, and then started stealing. Yes, they started stealing our resources, our mineral resources, and the like. Our African French brothers are still not free from that. The first point of sale, they have the right of first refusal. All the French colonies, any mineral, any raw material you want to sell, you must first of all sell to France. They say France say they don't want. That's the only time they have right to sell to another person. They are an independent nation. They are independent in question, with question mark. They are. That is the type of situation we are talking about. Now let us discuss the one that concerns us. I mentioned the number of taxes we have, 41, 10 from the federal, 20 from local government, 11 from state. So I'm not going to waste time in that one. Let's move ahead. Let's talk about the tax environment. We look at the tax theory, the price theory, labor productivity, savings, instead of government spending, inflation, redistribution. If you look at countries, the way they have their business failure rate, and Nigeria is among the top. That is from Business Day Survey, February 17, 2022. If you look at it, you see Nigeria 61%, really high. The question is why? What is making these things happen? Why? Why are they finding it difficult? Between 1994 and 2006, 45 banks have failed in this country. Either they skewed by absorption or by forced merger, forced mergers. Now let us look at the situation and contradictions we have in the environment. We don't talk of environment because the paper that just finished by the learned colleague emphasized on sustainability, and in doing that, many of us, our mind, everything is about the environment, and now we are talking of tax environment. Are we looking at the trees? Are we no? We are looking at those things the business operates or that influence the activities of businesses, including the laws, including the tax practices of the nation. We look at the things that drive it. We single out few policies because I said I will manage my time. I will not want to be stopped. I would rather want to stop myself by finishing the important aspects of it. That's why I was moving fast and forward. Let's pick one policy and address it, and look at other instances, and then see the connect between the two. In Nigeria, we said we want new industries, vehicle plants. We have one new one in Kaduna. We have one new one in 2020. It's not the federal government licensed three of them. One in Kaduna, one in Yenegoa, and where is the other one? Three of them. Now, in 2021, after licensing these people, encouraging them to start producing vehicles for the economy, what did they do? They now scale it down. I'm not against it, but at the end of after the analysis, we will all be our individual, we judge for ourselves, right? Whether this policy is consistent, whether the two of them are moving in the same direction. Because it's like one step forward, two steps backwards. When you have initiated, encourage people to come and invest, to come and start up production, manufacturing of vehicles in Nigeria, 2020. Then by 2021, you now moved the import rate for vehicle from 35% to 10%. So you are now encouraging more people to import vehicles at cheaper rate. Is it for it to be cheaper than the ones that is being produced, or for it to be more expensive, or what? I don't know if you are getting it. It's a policy somersault. They are very inconsistent. Those driving it, because it's coming from the same table, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I will give you some other instances why some of these businesses, if you look at the ease of having, which state is that? I think it's Kaduna State. The governor, for obvious reasons, he wants new companies to start coming up in Kaduna, and I think he succeeded. Personally, he championed the process of business registration in Kaduna, process of getting CFO and the rest of them. And at the end of it, he was able, as reported, I wasn't there, but I know that I have some people who are based in Kaduna and who know better, in attracting a number of, they started the number, I don't have it here, but they were able to at least double the number of investments into, direct investment into Kaduna, by making it easy for people. You come, you want to get CFO, you can actually finish it within weeks. Get your land finished and then start up whatever you want to do. The processes, because the governor was very much interested. Is that the case in all the other states? Kaduna State is only a state, 1/36 was federal capital, so you can say 1/37. What is the situation in other states? The businesses are they thriving? Can people register? Can they operate with ease? The tax practices, I said, if you have a number of illegal taxes here and there, if you apply in our notes, the one by, I don't know what we call that, because you say tax is a compulsory label or an imposition. It's an imposition. So when you are moving your goods or you ask people to take it, they will add to it as part of the cost. All they are going to pay at the various checkpoints. It's part of what they are charging you. Because they are not going to use the money for fuel to pay. You, the person that provided that service for, will have to pay. Now, at the end of the day, you are paying for every 1 kilometer or half kilometer, you are paying something. Extortion. They extort money, otherwise they may back you for 2 hours, 3 hours or more. So, to keep moving, not to travel at night for security reasons and so on, you choose to do what? To comply. You are increasing costs. It's a type of labor. And then you have all these, down our side, I don't know what it's called in your own place. There are people we call Okolone Chago. Some of you may be hearing that thing for the first time. What did they do? You will come, you will buy land, get your boat, get everything. They want to enter. They will come. Tell you are paying rent, youth this, you are paying land this. By the time they finish, you may be forced to cover out 2.something million outside the cost of land before you can start off. It's the same with many other places. Take it critically, it's a type of taxation. It's an imposition. And it's adding to the cost of business. It's part of what you refer to in this paper as tax environment. Think about it. Anam vehicle, I was opportune to be moving with one of the Anam vehicles. Taking president's things for the president late last year, sometime last year. We were moving. On getting to Kogi State, they stopped us. The driver wanted to move. I said, don't move. Let us be ordinary now. What is it? This is an official vehicle, everything in order. I thought they are normal people. I said, please, look at it. They said, give me. He gave me a photocopy. I gave them. He looked at it. I said, no, just go and see the organ. I said, which organ? Look at this thing. He looked at it and said, what is the, okay, where is the ID card? He pulled his ID card, gave them Anna, staff. Okay, but the number is not government. This thing is not government. What is Anna? As Anna is a professional body registered now. Okay, but you have to pay us. They carry nail to block the nail. After some time, after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they are unyielding. I didn't know when the driver engage his gear and move. They threw something at us. I thought we have climbed the nails. I asked him to park. Back in the day, I took my phone, made a place a call with Kogi. They called one of the house members. And they were actually hearing the discussion and the names. So quickly, the big one started shifting because I was asked to confirm if something happened to our life. So that I will arrest all of them and make sure they pay the last one. The next minute, the big ones started shifting. The small younger ones are there, but those big guys started, I was seeing them, they started shifting. The person now looked after some time, the time was still the same. He said, nothing happened on there. I said, okay, let's go now. But are we eating problem? We are not troubleshooters. Let's go. And we went. When I was head of department, that case was even worse. A branded vehicle, meaning Department of Accountants, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, or clearly and boldly written there. The police officer stopped us. I said, anybody can, the number, I said, are you not seeing that that thing is government number? He said, anybody can type any number. I said, okay, how about the inscription in the vehicle? He want to extort money. Unfortunately for him, I lived in Yenegoa for 17 years. 17, not days, years. I said, okay, if there is something you are looking for, I want us to go to the station. I don't mind, let us go. When he now saw that I was scammed, I was not in a hurry or anything. The other one said, allow them to go. Allow them to go. Another nasty experience was when I was going to Kogi, carrying a plastic vehicle, branded vehicle. I was driving personally. I was stopped by one set of police officers. I now saw that they took taking the decision to be lost. And I was actually visiting the commander of that school, what do you call it? Lokoja Barracks. I don't know the name. That's Army Engineers, commander of Army Levels. I was actually visiting him. Then I pressed a call. People are holding us here. So. My general, yes, that is it. This one, the other one, pretended that he didn't even know what was happening. A man said, okay, what is it? I said, okay, just go. If they can do that to branded vehicle with government number, your case can be as good as what is happening to those moving with private vehicles. We're talking about the business environment. For it to try what they are doing to businesses, how some of these small businesses are not thriving, they are not doing well. The issue of multiple taxation, there is no each time they say they have harmonized this, that, bring that, this. At the end of it, no enforcement. Who is enforcing what? So this tax environment, if you look at what is somehow is very unfriendly. It's not encouraging. You're not encouraging the young ones to come up, the businesses to thrive, and they are now seeing it as something you are forcing on them. That's why you have very, very low level of voluntary compliance in Nigeria. How many people on their own, without any molestation or anything, get up and go to pay their due taxes? How many? Except civil servants. Even the civil servants, they are not doing it because it's pay as you earn. The deduction is that ever before you get your money, they are taking it. We get to the point, the level where what is happening in Malaysia and the other countries are in Scandinavian countries. Can we get to that point where people selling even suya? After selling suya, they will count their money, get the fraction, the portion that is for government, and go and pay without anybody knowing how much they collected. Because they are hawking, nobody is taking record. But they still on their own give the accurate tax pay. If you're talking about the business environment, it's harsh. At times, some of them don't know the direction to take to come out of their difficulty. You have problem, maybe you have problem with a tax. Who are the people that have this tax? Maybe the local government chairman, maybe the commissioner. In our own state, if those of you that are listening to our new governor, Professor Soludo, ever before he started, he said, you will open too many windows. If the first day I step in, all the windows will close. Everybody will start passing through the door. You know the new windows. They were sharing it the way people share sweet. When you see your friend, you have sweet in your pocket, you give him some. You see the other one, you give him some. You keep distributing it. That's the way they are sharing the new windows. And if you know the irony, whatever they are collecting, what is going inside the government coffers is less than 20%. They are giving like 20% or 30% of the collection to somebody. They give the government 10%, 15% for the good ones. And the other ones will vanish. How will the state survive? And he said it's better that this money is not collected at all. Let it remain in the hands of the people so that they will continue to buy. The economy will be vibrant. People producing will continue to produce and employ more people than having them in the private That's his reasoning. That's his argument. And then he's now taking time to lecture people. He even scale down the amount and take it to a limit. Watch out what will happen. There will be a boom. The revenue will more than double. Yes. Because, like I said, what goes into government coffers is not up to 20%. So if you slash off 20% of the amount being paid, and people start complying on their own, administrative costs will go down, all those charges and will not be there. The thing will jump to high levels. That's the likely thing that will happen, and I think other states will have to buy into it. Some of the methods and tax we have, they are regressive. And I said and explained, I gave an example of policy inconsistency we have in Nigeria. Like I cited the example of this vehicle. The same thing is happening to other products. And there is one aspect, we say we are fighting corruption. Those of us that know about corruption or fraud, many of you are practicing auditors. I have that little practice for just a short time, and some of the things I saw showed me that we still have a long way to go. Look at the sudden change in Nigeria, and some people are being decorated for paying tax in Nigeria. Tell me any other country you see that type of thing. Tell me if you have seen it. I've not seen it before. I've not heard. I've not read. Because we're a lawless country. That's why somebody ended up doing what is the other obligation to do. And he's now being celebrated as if saying he has done something exceptional. But that is that apart. There is a modification. If you ask me, that thing is foundation for corruption. Suddenly, tax, the way it's structured, go and check the sanitization books of other countries, international ones, you will discover that you pay this thing in money terms. You pay it in money terms, you pay it. But our own will suddenly change it. That company X, company Y, can instead of paying this tax, they can use it to construct roads for us. Because we don't have competent people again. We don't have Ministry of Works. Or we cannot, are we telling the world that we can't collect this money? If we can't keep them in our banks, by the way, the bank is there, that's where they're paying all this money to. So what has gone wrong? Why will they be the ones paying? They won't pay. The construction that we put them for, as accountants, let us look at it. This construction is supposed to be for 3 years, the road, some of them 4 to 5 years. And then tax is supposed to pay now. We all know the time value of money. You allow the person to keep the money and continue to use it, and that is constructing road for you. And you'll be doing it and sleeping and waking up. For 1 year, he has not done 10% and still having all the money. 2 years, that one apart. Who is censoring it? Who is determining what is to be done and what is not to be done? That value. Who determines the value? The other one is exactly the amount. I told you I would not want to be stopped, so I rather stop myself. During question and answer, perhaps I may have time to say more things, how we can get to better tax regime, the issue of policy reviews that are necessary, trainings, and so on, and the aspect, the challenge for the policy makers. Thanks very much for listening.
Please, a warm round of applause for Professor Mcpd. He has just delivered a paper on tax, environment, and effects on business. A paper by Dr. Nagozi Oko, FCN, at this juncture, distinguished professional colleagues. We will be inviting questions, comments, observations, and recommendations from the members of the audience. Please, the first person I can see a hand up, can you step forward, please? Any other contributor at this point in time, please? In the absence of any, we will be going forward with the member, please. Your name and your membership number, please.
First Vice President, permit me to leverage on already established protocol. My name is Yisi Kadmwa Samuel, FCNA, membership number 9504 from Jos Plateau State. The presenter made mention of summary of some taxes in Nigeria, and I want to believe they are backed by the Constitution of Nigeria. Sir, in a situation whereby the state is converting the taxes allocated to the local governments, and they go to do what they call a gazette to permit them tap some of the taxes that are allocated to the local government. Do we say the Constitution or the gazette is higher than the Constitution? I want to know, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have two more members. Please, your name and membership number, please.
Good afternoon, the President and Chairman of Council, Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma, all protocols duly observed. Activisa Negwando from Ori, Delta State, membership number 34801. My question is very simple, sir. You mentioned, you highlighted a lot of problems with the tax system in Nigeria. So as professional accountants, what policies can be proposed to ensure efficient use of tax revenue in Nigeria? Thank you. What policies can be proposed to ensure efficient use of tax revenue in Nigeria, which can be escalated to the National Assembly level, sir? Thank you.
Thank you. Please, a thought, comments, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jane Ona, membership number 34656 from Yenegoa branch. My question is, under the overview of business environment in Nigeria, I want to understand what National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure has said, which has 0.25%. Where they charge the tax. That's what I want to understand. I have not seen it before.
Thank you. May I now call on the resource person, Professor Miles Vincent Oboye, to respond to the question, please.
Thank you very much. I will start with the first. I would rather call it state usurpation of taxation powers given to the local governments by using gazettes or state enactments. One thing is obvious, because those people are appointees, more often than not in almost all the states, they are input appointees. They may have been elected, but I want to address them as appointees. They don't have their foot on ground. Nothing stops them from challenging that act in the court, because to the best of my knowledge, I'm not a lawyer, but I know I studied law for 3 years. To the best of my knowledge, that action is null and void to the extent of its inconsistency with the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Constitution is free to any other law, so no matter who makes it, whether it's state, whether it's federal, let it be an act of the National Assembly. It's null and void to the extent of its inconsistency with the provisions of the. Because these people are appointees, they will see it. It's not good. They are saying it with the bedroom voice.
It's you that is even voicing it out. Have you seen any of them come out in the newspaper to say it? Have you seen any of them come out to say it even in radio? So, it will continue. That's why the independence or otherwise of the local government is, for me, the way they are managing the affairs of those local governments, there are times they use it to siphon the funds. If you ask me, the solution may even be to collapse the local government completely, so that the money will come and then everybody will know how much is it, and somebody will ask to account for it. That is, by the way, that's my personal thought. That's not an answer. Now, we are talking about policies to be proposed to ensure the efficient use of tax revenue in Nigeria. We have our problems here and there in the states, even as individuals. I don't think we have problem with people that articulate good policies for. I don't think we have ever had that problem in Nigeria. We have very wonderful people. Our problem is with implementation. You see them come up with this, that, the other one, and then the implementation is always haphazard. At times they start it well, maybe change ministers, and then there will be till we lose time. This other minute will hear about it again. The policy you are talking about, you don't need it's there. The issue of something like budget performance, for instance, let's take it. Budget performance. All these agencies, and we don't have any respect for our law. It's because of near fighting. What was remaining was for them to exchange blows. Federal Land Revenue, Customs, and the rest of them, including post office people. They are fighting over the who we are collecting money that you're supposed to collect and move straight to the consolidated revenue fund. That's the provision of the law. That's what we have in our constitution. Because they don't obey it, they will collect it and that is keep it in private accounts. And use it for what you call short-term trading. And you use the word trading. They fix it short-term. And be making so much money from it. At times they don't even read it all. That's why go and check. I'm giving it to you as an assignment. And when you go home, check. Go and check the figures, the revenue figures you have for CPA records, CPN records. Check the one you have from Federal Office of Statistics. Reconcile it with the one you have from Federal Revenue. So at times you have three different figures. The same item. How? Why? Because the disclosure, because in accounting, just like you have in auditing, you talk about, my learned professor said, about being true and fair view. That true and fair view was contested many years back when somebody was doing presentation. And my simple reply and logic was this. I said, if you go to court, they talk about the truth. They don't stop at it. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What are you talking? It's exactly the same thing the accountant is saying. You are saying what you are presenting is true. When will it be fair? It can only be fair if what you are presenting is true and complete. If it's not complete, if there's no full disclosure, it's not okay. It's not acceptable. That's when you talk about fair. Just like they talk of the whole truth. That whole truth is the fair. You can use it to replace the fair you have in accounting. And the moment you have it, of course, getting people accountable. You are collecting this thing. Figures don't tell lies because it doesn't, there's no way. This is our record. We know the quantity, maybe the number of liters, and the unit cost. How can we suddenly change midway? Is it possible? Because those who are supposed to check, including those who are doing what we call oversight function, they are oversighting with one eye. Yes, they carry one eye and go. When they go get to the place, they will give them sunshade. They will use it to close the one eye they came with, and they will go back blind. They won't see anything because it's only one thing that will report. Finally, you talk of Naseni. Yes, I'm happy you are not quarreling with it. The next question is just like the police one. I started seeing vehicles purchased from that trust fund already. They started using it. This science, the fact we get to the bank, withdraw the money and swallow it.
Is it the type? When these corrections are made and it's being applied for the purpose for which, and let me address operation first of all before I digress. You are asking where I am. Taxing the companies that are to pay it for what they are making. They pay that fraction, that percentage is even much bigger. That shows the emphasis, the importance government attached to it. The police loan is 0.005 and this one is 0.025. So it's much higher than the one we are contributing for police and our security. That shows the importance attached to it. Development of our science, education and so on, research centers supposed to come from there. That is what that one was meant to address. Let me now see this opportunity to thank the Annan Council, the first vice president, second vice, and the immediate past president. They are ever ready to serve, and they serve, and they are still serving. And I want to thank the CEO for this opportunity, and all the council members, the chairman of the OCPD, to step in and make presentation on behalf of Dr. Nnadozie Ngwo, who is the Deputy Regional Controller of Federal Revenue Service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Let us clap for him again. That Professor BBC Yenegoa. On that note, we are about rounding off the session and want to go straight for the syndicate group. I don't know if our VP1 can continue. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My purpose. Let's want to go straight to the syndicate group. My members, no one in my syndicate group, we want to pass a communique to the Bayelsa state government and the federal government of Nigeria on one or two points where we are deliberating this today and tomorrow. So from our record, I want to give the newly inducted, the incoming members. We read them. A, number one, group one. That's group one. Group one. Can we get a chairman and a secretary from this group? For the syndicate group, I am going to treat the first cause, the tax environment and effect. Let's go.
Okay. So, keep my number.
Nika, our MC.
Nika, yes. This one. I was recording you, and I was the back. So you will take care of it.
Who can come? You can get 2 bags.
2 bags.
One for you.
It's in trouble. It's in trouble.
No, not that. Souvenir bank.
Souvenir bank.
The one that
is with a
no, which is the souvenir bank?
What is the name?
Souvenir bank.
One guy.
He said, should be with a day, sir.
Go look for you. Look for you.
Please, this will be envelope.